All right, we're going to talk about being stuck in side control and getting out from there, and also how not to end up stuck in side control in the first place. So let's talk first when someone has me completely smashed out in side control.
Has me fully locked into side control with an underhook and a crossface and all the terribleness. This is pretty bad, and I will have wanted to do a lot of things to not get here in the first place. But that's not always the case. Sometimes we're just smashed in. So what I need is to get some frames back in. There are some ways to like overhook and move and do some other things, but I think foundationally the best thing is to get my arms in between the two of us and create some space. So this elbow coming in first can be really helpful. There's ways I can do that by cross-facing his ear and dropping my elbow in. And now this hand is going to come and grip inside of his armpit. And this bridge that I'm using towards him, as he's pushing me down, I'm going to unload his weight back this direction. And he will either roll or he'll post out with that hand. And now that gives me an opportunity to bring this underhook in. Right? So as I bring this underhook in, I can move up and I can either from here wrestle up or pull my knee in and start getting a guard back, depending on my preference. So sometimes we're not going to get this elbow back in all the way. It's hard to move him enough to get that in. And he's got this arm killed out. What I want to do is make sure this arm isn't somewhere where he can attack it. If it's stuck out here, or if he's starting to raise it with his arm up above my head, that can get really scary. So I'm going to just bring my palm in and start snaking up so that my elbow and forearm are across his body. From here, I can start moving behind this frame to shrimp and to shrimp. What I see a lot of is an overextension with this hand. So if my elbow comes in here, there's a temptation to go here. But pushing him away is not going to be very functional. I actually want to stay kind of on my humerus with little T-Rex arms here. And with this T-Rex arm, I can connect now this bottom knee to my elbow. And now it's really hard for him to crush me. Russell can try and get on top of me, and I can just float him on my femur, right? So once I'm here, again, we can make the decision to loop this hand underneath, right? I don't want to pull out and then try and shoot through. I want to just swing this arm and shoot my leg through. And now we're wrestling up again. Or once I have that knee and elbow connection, I can start pushing him away and moving back to some kind of guard. How did I get there in the first place? If Russell's trying to pass my guard, this is a silly thing to do, but it works. As he's coming to maybe smash me in a crossface, I'm going to grab my own forehead. And when I grab my own forehead, he's on my elbows and on my humerus. So as he's trying to smash me here, it's actually quite hard to do. And it's creating enough space for me to start getting my legs back in. So as he passes my guard and I go, oh, dope, and I grab my forehead and I realize I'm in trouble, that gives me room to shrimp, gives me room to pull my knee in, or as he's there, it gives me room to swing an arm and start coming up into a wrestle up. So the goal really, for me, is to never let his chest be on my chest. If Russell gets chest to chest, I'm in a lot of trouble. So as he's passing, I also see, again, another place of overreach, a lot of this. And this, I'm so extended, it's hard for me to move behind it. It's easy for him to strip a grip and move me off. I'd much rather see this or this, right? This stone squirrel, iron squirrel, whatever people call it. So as Russell's trying to come in, if all I do is grab his bicep and keep my elbows tight, it's really hard for him to settle his weight here. He has to pry my arms away one direction or the other. And as he's doing that, it gives me space to come in and start doing mean and awful things. Another big thing is that I'm not flat on my back. If he gets chest to chest and I get flat, he has everything he wants. If I can create frames and stay on my edge, then it's much harder for him to settle into position. I've got my frames in with my leg and my arms, and as I shoot my leg out to turn down, my arm comes through, I hit my knees. Now from here, I might be able to just run and and run him over, but it's pretty hard. So I'm gonna step over the ankle, pull the ankle towards me, and now we can just finish this takedown. Or take it back if he turns all the way.
So one other sort of fundamental principle that you can think of, and like one easy way to think about it is when Dan's applying pressure to me, even if I'm fighting well with frames, if I just stay underneath it, I mean, all I'm doing is buying myself time. So I need to somehow like use this to create an opportunity to move out of underneath his weight and move across the mat. So I've got this frame driving into him, but then my lower body is working to create space. And now I can come in with the guard or drive and come up. But I have to create that space, get out of underneath his weight, because if I'm just staying in tight, maybe I can fish that in, but I'm still really compromised. I'm under his pressure. I can easily get flattened back out. But once I'm out here, now this is an entirely different game. I've got a really solid wall in between us. Just by moving across the ground a little bit. You see that in there between? Everything's looking good, but I'm driving, but I need to use my lower body to move away while I drive. And now I've created this space in between us that I can use to pull guard.